Alright boys, back to work on the Honda Elite. If you watched in the last video, we got a lot of work done on this thing. I'm pretty much a full motor rebuild with the Malossi full circle crank, new motor mounts, new bearings, everything, and got this thing looking right. Motor's all cleaned up, everything's all shined up, all brand new on this side. And the only thing left, like I mentioned, was the whole disc front end build that we're going to be doing on this scooter. So I got a bunch of parts coming in, I got a bunch of parts already, and I'm ready to show you guys how to disc swap front end your Honda Elite. We got this huge bulky suspension setup with this drum brake. As you see here on my other Honda Elite, we got a nice disc front end dropped and lowered that we'll be doing to this one as well. Boys, I'm ready to see this Elite with the chrome Johnny right here, the chrome center line. I'm excited to see this front end dropped on the chrome wheels with a nice disc front end setup. First things first, what we're gonna do on this is we're gonna open up some of these parts right here that I have that will be needed in order to do this whole front end swap. Alright, so first things first, what we're going to be looking at here is your NCY stem. This is a triple tree stem that will allow you to be able to slide legs in here to run the disc front end, as the stock one is actually one piece. You'll see more once I take it apart and I'll show you the differences. But here it is. This part's covered, but this is threaded because the Honda Elite bars have a big nut that threads the handlebars onto the stem. First thing and most importantly, here's your stem. These are rather expensive because doing this disc front end, don't get me wrong, is very expensive when you're doing it with the right parts. So, NCY stem, NCY disc legs. These are the drop down legs, so the front end sits a little bit lower. I have another pair that I used to run on my other Elite, which aren't drop down, and they are a lot taller. Most of this I got the same brand, NCY, because it just works good together. I've just realized that trying to source other parts and other brands, sometimes you have to get weird brackets, especially for something like this. So, got NCY caliper here. I have this on mostly all my bikes that did the front end swap, my pre-bug, my other Honda Elite. It's a great caliper, so simple, NCY, it's clean, it's black. Kind of wish I got silver now, but I think it'll be good because this area is black, so it'll all be black right there in that area. Our NCY caliper bracket, which is needed, as you can see, the NCY caliper does not bolt straight to the leg, so you have to have this bracket, which therefore will bolt in there like so to those holes, and then your caliper will bolt to there. Next we had a 200mm brake rotor. You could go 210, I think even 220 I believe, but that is just huge at that point, and then you're running into problems where your caliper might be rubbing on your rim, etc, etc. So this one right here looks like it's like a 180, and here's a 200 just for comparison. This is all the parts I have right now, but there's still a bunch of parts you would need. You would need obviously a brake line, you would need then a brake master cylinder front brake, as this one is drum brake and it's connected to the throttle. So I will be showing you how I'm gonna make this throttle work without this brake, because I like the stock throttle feel and I want to utilize this throttle housing. So I'm gonna actually cut this off, and yeah, we're gonna make it work with the disc front end. So we got a few parts showing up for this. Like I said, we'll still need a brake line, and I'm really curious right now if this hub that came on this wheel is the right one for a Honda Elite. So what I'm going to do right now is mount these legs and get the right width with all the spacers I need, and set up, put the brake on, everything, and line it up outside the bike so I don't just have this thing half taken apart and realize something's not right. But looks like it lines up good for the bolts. I only have 2 right now, so we're just going to Alright, so we kind of sort of got everything kind of mocked up on there. As you can see though, look how far off from center the wheel is. So before I go ahead and just cut this spacer without checking it, I'm going to go ahead and put the caliper mounts on now and put the caliper and see where the caliper lines up centered with, because you need to line the caliper centered with the rotor because you cannot move it. So I got the spacers on the wheels right now. Got the wheel pretty much lined up. It's got good space on that side, good space. It has more space on this side, but that's just how it is. Otherwise then you run into the problem where your rotor starts hitting down here when the rivets come around. So you get a little hairy, you have to off center it. But got that spacer cut. Now I'm making caliper spacers. I just mocked up this one, which seems to be the perfect amount. Alright, after many tries, spacers. I think these are the final result. Right there. For the brake caliper. Alright, it's all finally fit. Everything's fit. All the spacers are cut. It all lines up. Got the bolts for everything. So now I'm going to take it apart, pull this hub off this. I'll just scotch bright it and see how shiny I can actually get it with some purple power. And then from there, I'm going to clean this wheel up as well. Try to get a little bit more shine to it because this one's a little dull. Whereas this one's real shiny. Before, after. Before, after. Clean the hub up a bunch. I was gonna paint it, but I was able to scrub it pretty clean, so. Alright, wheel's all clean. Now it's time to pull this tire off the old wheel. Do it. There we go. Just clean this rim. We're gonna have to soap it all up anyways. There we go. There we go, boys. So I ordered some purple anodized nuts to just go along with the build and blend in with it. So those are going to be on the way. So for now, I'm just going to set these ones on there, mock everything up again for the one last time with the tire on, and we'll see how it's looking. Alright, boys. This is where we stand on the Elite front end right now. We got the whole front end ready to drop in. We're looking at this setup compared to what's going to be there now is a lot cleaner. Well, here begins the front end strip down of the Honda Elite. Alright, here's how the Elite's looking now. Pretty much the front headset can just be unbolted by these 3 screws left. Nothing's plugged into it, but I'm just having it sitting on there out of convenience right now, but I'm pretty much going to drop this bolt off, pull the handlebars off, got everything unhooked.
Look at the thickness of the head right here, like the neck of the head.
Alright, boys, there she is. I'm actually amazed right now because I thought that the drum one was going to be a whole lot lighter than it really is. This actually, I think, might be lighter than the stock drum one. I think mostly because this drum one has steel forks, whereas this one's all CNC'd. Yeah, I think the disc is actually lighter. The drum front end might actually be heavier. Yeah, the wheel's lighter, but those forks are heavy, and these ones are, like I said, like CNC'd. I think that's where the weight's saved. Alright, I already know from the last time I did it that you have to trim this inner panel, otherwise the fork will hit on each side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My Dremel's broken, so I'm going to do it all jaggedly with these scissors. Alright, we got the disc front end slid in there. She's sitting pretty. I was thinking about trimming this a little bit more so you get a little bit more turning radius because it's so small. But I think I'm going to leave it for now. Put the lower cowl on, which I'm going to cut that so I can put it on. Cut this little piece so I can put it on with the front end already on so I don't have to take it back out. But as you can tell, when you turn this, it comes up to here, and I had to trim that a little bit more so I had to take it back off. But I cut all that just because if my shock ever is all the way compressed by any means, I don't want that to rub and pull my plastic down or something. So just give myself all the room. Looks good. It's cut both sides. And I'm gonna say we're good to go. So I don't have my brake line here today, so I'm not gonna really put that part on, but I figured I'm gonna throw the handlebars on as much as I probably can with just this part and leave the back panel off so I can actually run the brake line behind it. Just gonna tighten this down tight, but not too tight, because this is what determines like how smooth your headset really is. So you want it tight enough where there's no wiggle at all in here, but you don't want it too tight where it's hard to turn. So, boys, this is how we're looking right now on this Elite. Man, does it look good. I have the front pedal barely sitting on there right now because I don't want to take it all back apart because my brake line should be here tomorrow and I'll have to run that all the way through there. But I just want to set that panel on there to get an idea of what it looks like. And this thing looks so good, man. Like, dude, I am so stoked on this. And this side's all simple. I like how all the accents are just like black and subtle. And then same with here, black, chrome, and subtle. No flashiness really, just like chrome, clean. Very subtle, but like aesthetic at the same time. Here, cut this throttle housing. Basically, just gonna straight up cut the brake lever part out of it. I'm gonna try to save the mirror area, but I can't have it too. It's kind of hard to explain because I have to do it once the front brake gets here. Because if the master cylinder on the front brake needs to sit a little bit over, I'm gonna have to cut this part of it too. I'm waiting on my front brake and my brake line to come in, and then we'll finish up the Elite disc swap build. So I will see you guys in a couple days. Aw, this is fancy. I'm actually gonna need MOPED's packaging though for this motor and stuff I gotta send out soon. Got a Malossi belt for ZX, and we got ourselves a ZX pulley over here for the purple bike. But I will probably be doing this in another video because I just want to focus on the disc front end in this video. So there's a few things you gotta do to the case to be able to fit these, and yeah, we'll go over that in a different video. So ZX pulley, ZX belt for that. I grabbed a new clutch spring for my DIO and a clutch spring for the F12 as well. We got the final piece, well actually one of the final pieces, the brake line for the purple Elite, and we got the brake master cylinder lever, if you will, also, which were the two last pieces I talked about. And then for the F12, the adjustable rear pulley front half, I guess you would call it, secondary sliding. We'll be doing that with the new clutch spring. Next on the F12, purple Elite stuff. Next for the purple Elite will be this. And then currently for the purple Elite. Also quick tease for the people who stayed this long in the video. New MOPBOYZ merch coming very, very soon. These are like athletic shorts. They're like with the stretch band. They're like almost like basketball shorts but without the holes. But they feel the same. They're like super stretchy, as you could tell. And I guess you can probably use these as swim trunks too because they have the netting in the pockets, and they don't have the netting all the way around, which is good because they're annoying when you have the crotch netting. So pockets only, but these are sick. New merch line coming soon. Probably on the next video I will be announcing the actual date. Too bad it's not purple. But one to the actual caliper, and then up here to your master. The one that'll be for your master is usually the bent one a little bit, so it fits in the handlebar set a little better. And I'm gonna run that through the bike right now, as well as set my master on there. So the reason I said it needs to be a low rise, look at where this master is, how it's with the bolt. So you know that if it sits in here, the headset will actually close on top, because look how close that has to be. So you have to get a low rise master to fit underneath the headset, because if you look at the difference in like a high rise master, or if, like this one for example, here's one for a scooter. Look at that, that would never fit under a headset. This one does. Would never. Look how far it is away from the bolt. How flat, that one's even with the bolt. Also, I said I was gonna get some purple nuts for the front because I didn't want to run spikes on the front because it was getting a little close. Put that on. That looks pretty good. It's kind of subtle up front. Can't really see it. I'll show you more when I take it out. Now I gotta cut it a little less wide because I'm running into the problem where my master cylinder is hitting here already before my brake can go into the little slot, and I want it to go into the slot just because that's the best part about having a stock one. This one only has one good mount, so it only works really that good of a clamp when it's in that little slot. So, but trim this off. It should be good. Alright, brakes in there. Looks like we're gonna clear good. Got the brake line. I chopped the throttle, so like I said, I could fit this. So now we should be able to. Perfect. Locks in there now. So now we get the locking throttle position and should be able to maintain the stock throttle piece. Alright, we are all hooked up. Now it's time to bleed these brakes. If you look down here, we got our banjo bolt. We got our little bracket I took off a Bug-Eye Zuma to mount onto there. Everything's hooked up. Here's your bleeder. You know how to bleed brakes. And I got the lines a little long, so this is what I did on my stroker too. I just looped it. I'm actually gonna change how it's sitting though. Put it in the front to avoid anything like that. Just have it floating in there, the extra slack. It still has spot to give if it needs to move. The only thing that's gonna hold it is the panel, so that's how I did on my stroker too. It's nice. It's nice, very nice, very nice. As you can see, front brake's working really good now. So we got everything hooked up. Front brake wise, it's all bled. Everything's hooked up in there. Kind of funky how I had to bend the cable, but it has slack, so it's not a crucial bend. And this is like an inch away from the connector point, so we'll go up there. Like I said, I got a little loop-de-loop for all the slack. That way it can pull either way, and it can kind of like, you know, if it needs slack down or if it needs slack up, so it's not tangled on anything. And then throttle cable's hooked up. Throttle feels good. All fitting here, as you can see. Look how close the cut was. Went a little crooked, but right on that mounting point, had to cut the mirror point off, all that. But it fits in there nice. I'm gonna go ahead and put the headset on the back, plug everything in, put the front panel on, and finally see what this thing looks like with the double chrome Johnnies on. Because we can't really tell until you put that front panel on. Well, goddamn. This thing looks absolutely mental, man. The front end sits so good now. Look at that. Sits just right. It's like perfectly level actually. So, I'm gonna get this other light on too, man. Got this side all shined up with the motor build fresh. Make sure you watch those videos if you haven't yet. This thing looks so mint right now. Jeez, look at the front end. The disc brake tucked in there, you can't even tell. You can't even tell. I almost could have got away with the mirror mount, possibly, but it looks so sick how the rotor fills up like the whole wheel. Like, dude, it looks so much more gnarly here. I'll get a side shot like this. Look at that hot mamba jamba. This thing looks so aggressive from this side. I wish the kickstand stood more straight up. I'll probably have to take off that kickstand, do it how I did. My stroker one, just weld it on, because it sat way better, sat way less of an angle. Watch out, dude. If I just welded it on, so. Sheesh, man. The stroker sits nice. Stroker sits nice. See how it's a little bit more down. That is the disc front end swap on the Honda Elite. Pretty much the full process of everything you need. I put the links for everything you need down below as well. It is a big build, don't get me wrong, a very expensive build as well. And it's kind of a lot of steps. Like, it's not super hard, but it's definitely a lot more steps than just throwing some fork legs in there and whatnot. So that is the disc front end build. Now you got some super good suspension up front. No more of that crazy like J-arm looking suspension anymore. And now it's disc brake, no longer drum. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned for the new merch coming. I'll see you in the next one.